A pleasant good night to everyone. My name is Rodney Morris, and I am from Grenada. I am a police officer by profession, but I'm a fisher folk at heart. Um, my wife is a member of the Grenada Coral Reef Foundation. Um, I am a navigator certified, and I also seek to be a member of the Grenada Coral Reef Foundation. I am presently studying a master's degree in project management, and I was tasked with the responsibility tonight to have a discussion on institutional identity and integrity. Now, if you look at your screen, you will see the title of tonight's presentation, Institutional Identity and Integrity, and at the bottom of that, there's a note that I placed there. It says every institution is unique, and indeed every institution is very unique. So we'll go to the objectives. Objective of the presentation. The main objective of this presentation is to outline the principles of institutional identity and integrity and explain why these are important in fisherfolk organizations. This presentation will focus on several key factors that support the idea of institutional identity and integrity, and of course, that is within fisherfolk organizations, and linking them to the overall principles, the general principles of identity and integrity. Therefore, at the end of the presentation, you will understand that institutional identity and integrity are at the heart of a successful organization and will ultimately determine the success or failure of that organization. Now, an overview of the presentation. We will look at institutional identity. We will also look at institutional integrity. And in that, we look at the elements of integrity, and then we'll have discussions and questions. Right. Institutional identity. Institutional identity is defined as having a clear idea of the value, mission, and uniqueness of our organizations. Now, we must have an identity plan and develop a framework of standards, procedures, and guidelines that would express the goals of our institutions to make sure our identity messages are clear and strong. Because we want persons to know who we are. We want persons to know what we stand for. We want persons to understand the purpose of our existence. Persons must be able to understand and clearly communicate our purpose in this regard. They must clearly understand the reason why we exist as an institution. We must be firm in letting others know what we stand for so that our voices can be heard. When policies are being formulated, we must ensure that being a part of the decision-making and implementation processes, we as fisherfolk are not deprived of our livelihoods, in that we are not severely affected by these policies or legislations. Now, knowing who you are as a people, as an organization, as an institution, that sets you apart from other establishments. And it also fosters innovative and creative approaches to overall sustainability. Now, whether you're on the sea, in the markets, on the streets, or even within a formal capacity, you, the fisherfolk, are able to stand up and stand out as your purpose within society, as I said before, is unique. Sometimes we need to hold out our candles together so that the burning flame can be clearly seen. We need to shine like a beacon of hope so that others could see. Sometimes we need to propel our voices together so that we can clearly be heard. As the saying goes, teamwork makes the dream work. Because as a team, and the acronym TEAM, TEAM, says together, everyone achieves more. So we know we can do more together. Institutional identity. And here we have an equation. It says purpose plus philosophy equals organizational identity. It further explains that just as an individual has an identity, so too does an organization. And remember I said earlier, every organization is unique. Every organization has its identity. Every organization is special in its own way. Now that identity identify who the organization is and shapes how its members behave. And so we're looking at the morals of the organization, the morals of the people, the ethics within the organization, the organizational policies, its regulations and standards, etc. Who we are. The Caribbean Network of Fisherfolk Organizations, or CNFO, is a network of small-scale fisherfolk and their organizations operating in the Caribbean community, or CARICOM. The network is committed to the realization of profitable and sustainable fisheries that are mainly owned and governed by fisherfolk, which, one, promote effective ecosystem-based management of fisheries resources, two, secure the livelihoods of fisherfolk, three, contribute to food security for Caribbean countries, and increase their resilience to risk, including climate change. And we know that climate change is a serious issue that we are faced with globally, and the situation only worsens. So we need to create avenues, we need to create solutions to that problem. We need to find ways to mitigate against the effects of climate change. And that's what CNFO is here to do, to create a more sustainable livelihood, a more secure livelihood for fisherfolk. CNFO vision. Primary, national and regional fisherfolk organizations with knowledgeable members collaborating to sustain fishing industries that are mainly owned and governed by fisherfolk who enjoy a good quality of life achieved through the ecosystem-based management of fisheries resources. Now, I know this is kind of a long, so what I did, I tried to come up with a simplified version of it. So this, in my perception, CNFO is the leading organization nationally and regionally which seeks to create a sustainable life for fisherfolk through the effective management of the ecosystems and their resources. And by ecosystems, I'm speaking about the marine ecosystems and the aquatic life. CNFO mission: to improve the quality of life for fisherfolk and develop a sustainable and profitable industry through networking, representation, and capacity building. Sorry. So one of the the purposes of these trainings is to improve capacity building within the fisher folk. Yes? Institutional integrity. Here is an example. Apple Computer is just one example. They have 3 core values: follow through, get real, and speak up. Compromise this notion of organizational integrity. Now, we are going to dig a little bit deeper to, get a broader understanding as to what we mean when we speak about these 3 core values: following through, getting real, and speaking up. How does a lack of these things compromise the notion of organizational integrity? Yes? So first of all, we look at follow through. It says, do what you say you will do. When you make the decision to follow through on what you say you will do, you think differently about the commitments you make. You begin to create more meaningful and attainable assertions by wins, and you make a consistent effort not to overcommit and underdeliver. I don't want to say that. We don't want to be like politicians. Whenever you do make commitments, people accept them because they know you have thought long and hard about them and feel confident that you can deliver the expected results. These people, they begin to trust you, and trust is important. Now, whenever there is trust, there is no fear. There is no reason to doubt. There is no confusion. Discussions go much smoother. Individual views and perspectives are well respected. Problems are resolved easier. And if we look a little bit further, we can say that better ideas are even generated, creating the environment for continuous sustainable development. And in that regard, as we're speaking about identity and integrity, high levels of integrity are demonstrated, making success imminent. And it's very important. Trust is very, very important in every relationship. Institutional integrity, we're continuing. Get real. Get to the truth. When you make the decision to get real and face the truth, you strengthen and spread positive accountability. You strengthen and spread positive accountability. Of course, it is not always easy to get the truth, and there is always the risk that doing so may make someone unhappy or possibly look bad. But in every event, that may not be your intention. That should not be the intention. However, this risk is very possible. But getting real will do much more to move a project or an organization forward than any other attempt to create a happy illusion. Because you don't want fake. You want facts. You want purpose. No matter how well intentioned you might be, somebody must be disgruntled. Somebody must feel some way. It is up to you as the leader to ensure that that person isn't stuck with that feeling, because you should be able to show resolve. You should be able to get them to find some form of resolve. Yes, you help them to gain a better understanding of the situation, a better appreciation of the situation, so that they could have more positive outcomes. They could have more positive thoughts regarding future matters. When you expect people to settle for nothing less than the truth, You enable them to see the reality of their situations and take accountability for delivering results. So in other words, you empower them to take action. And that's what you want to do as a leader. As a leader, you want to empower people to take that stand, to speak out. You empower them. As fisherfolk leaders, we are accountable to all fishers. Therefore, for our work to be valued, we must eliminate the time and effort we spend on distracting and other unproductive activities while fighting for the cause. We must remain focused. We must remain focused. Get real. Stick to the facts. Now, understand that facts shows us where we are as an organization, good or bad. And it also provides us with the necessary prerequisites to make informed decisions. And that way it is easier to identify a problem and generate and choose the right solution to that problem and utilize the most effective implementation process, and also to monitor and evaluate the outcomes to ensure desired results are attained. Now, we must do these things.
We got the skill today, but we're going to do it tomorrow.
Was that for me?
Go ahead, Rodney. Somebody had the mic open.
Oh, okay, no problem. Thank you. Now, when we do this, we create the environment for continuous growth, skills of our team members. And as a leader, that is one of the things that we want to do. We want to ensure that our members, not only the organization continues to grow, but in order for the organization, for the institution to continue to grow, the capacities of our members, of our team, must also develop. It must also grow. So as we grow as a people, the organization grows. As we thrive as a people, the organization thrives. As we achieve success as a people, as a team, the organization receives success. The organization becomes more successful. And as accountable leaders, this also acts as a motivating factor for individual team members who want to be around you. Because remember, integrity builds trust, which ensures accountability. And once you're accountable as a leader, people would want to be around you. They would trust you. They would confide in you. They would bring ideas to you. And a lot of the times, the ideas that some other person might not think worthy, when these persons bring it to you, because you have perspective as a leader, you see merit in these ideas. And these ideas, they a lot of the times foster so many great initiatives for developing the organizations. So we need as leaders to be accountable. We need as leaders to act as a motivating factor for our team members. Yes? Maintaining integrity. Institutional identity. Speak up. Say what needs to be said. When you make a decision or make the decision to say what needs to be said, when it needs to be said, in a way that ensures others will hear it, you create respect, you create trust, and an accountable environment. For people to feel comfortable saying what needs to be said, they need an environment free. And I say that again, they need an environment free from fear of retaliation, fear of speaking down on, fear of somebody else using the authority to, you know, pull them down, to cast aside what they say. Because these fear in the mind can be very overpowering. And it causes mental strain on a person, causing even the normally assertive person to clam up. Have you ever heard of a term that speaks to a phrase that says, in business, paralysis by analysis? Now, this occurs when you are faced with a situation and fear sets in. For some reason, fear comes in. And as that fear sets in, it causes you to fail or not to make a decision. It causes you not to speak out. It causes you not to say what's on your mind. When you create environments as a leader, when you create environments where people feel free and encouraged to say what needs to be said, when it needs to be said, you unshackle them. And again, you empower them to do whatever is productively and ethically necessary to obtain results. And whenever you have an organization with people who are unshackled, the results are endless. Success is limitless. Sky is not even the limit. Sky has no hold on you. Embrace the people that you have and empower them to speak out when it's necessary to do so. Speak up. Now, I remember I have a former boss, and in meetings, I used to always ask certain questions and, you know, give little pointers. And one time he pulled me in his office and he said to me, he said, "Rodney, I know you mean well, but sometimes you have to just listen and not say anything. Because even if I understand the goodness that you're trying to bring across, a lot of people don't like to hear your voice." And hearing that from him, that caused me to, like a turtle, go inside the shell. So a lot of the times in meetings, I might have ideas and I will not say anything. But then when he and I meet, I would let him know what my ideas are. And I spoke to another individual, an ASP. And when I started explaining to him the things that are on my mind, he's like, "Why is it that we have so many meetings and I've never heard you say anything?" And I told him. And he said, "No, because if you don't speak, people wouldn't know what's on your mind. People wouldn't see you as the person that you are. You need to open up. You need to speak out." And little by little in forums, not necessarily on the workplace, I would join little groups and I would start sharing my ideas, you know, giving them little pointers and so on. And I realized that a lot of people, even apart from the group, they would call me and ask me, "Rodney, what do you think?" "Oh, Rodney, we want you to do this document for us," and so on. And then I'm like, it seems like this man really knew what he was saying. And I started speaking out. And, you know, there are times when I even wrote documents and sent to commissioner. I sent to officers, you know, to get them to see, you know, what the ideas that I had. And a lot of them called me and asked me to come sit in their offices. And we had discussions. So You know, it's important to speak up. It's important not to allow others to cause you to clam up, to paralyze yourselves, and not take the initiative to stand up and stand out. There are times when this is very necessary. People wouldn't see your potential if you don't. So I encourage you to encourage others who may encourage others to stand up and stand out, to speak up. Credibility. The quality of being convincing, trusted, believable, and worthy of trust. Wow, a big word. Your credibility as a leader, as a member of the Fisherfolk organization, is very important. Your credibility is your reputation, and it helps people to decide if what you say has truth behind it, if what you say has merit, if what you say can be taken, as old people say, gospel. Credibility takes time to build. Yes, it does. Because you have to consistently show people who you are. You have to consistently cause others to trust you. You have to consistently show that accountable nature that you have. Integrity. You have to continue to maintain a level of integrity that allows people to cause your words and actions to be believable, to be worthy of trust. Credibility takes time to build and is difficult to physically define and control. That is gospel. But when you, as a leader, have attained credibility, as I said, the results are endless. You have people from all over calling you and you're wondering, how these people didn't get my number by? Because you're credible. They want your ideas. They want to hear from you. They want to hear your thoughts, your perceptions. You are credible. You are capable. You have potential. And while you might not see that, there are others out there who can see your potential and they would advertise you to others who would call you because you are credible. As it says, your credibility is your reputation. It helps people to decide if what you say has truth behind it. And nobody wants fake. Everybody wants credible. Everybody wants integrity. Everybody wants accountability. Everybody. So when you display that as a leader, you draw people to you. People who may not even be a part of the organization will be drawn to you. And you have to continue to display that attitude. You have to continue to show people that you are willing and able to work with them regardless of the situation, because you are credible. Key actions to maintaining accountability. Being timely in your actions. Time is a factor that not many of us are keen to. I try my best to always be on time. I'm not always on time, but I try my best to always be on time. Answer emails and requests. Do what you promise. Take responsibility for your actions. Be proactive in solving problems. Do not blame others or make excuses. If you make a decision and you falter, take responsibility. That's what it's saying. Always remain ethical and respectful in your actions. Be respectful to everyone. Show respect to everyone, regardless of their social status, regardless of their background, regardless of who that person is. Show respect to everyone. Be honest and transparent in all work. You never know who you could be talking to. Be honest and transparent in all work. Be proactive. I know I said be proactive before, but this is a different form of proactiveness. Be proactive. Demonstrate results. Sometimes people need to see where the organization is headed, the proposed end result. Because if you just come and tell me, like somebody being away, I want to know what I'm going to do. We're going to catch fish. If we're catching fish, what is the outcome? We intend to make a $10,000, a $5, $3. What is the outcome? Yes? From accountability to credibility. Now, as leaders, we must take personal accountability. It is important. We must be willing to answer for the outcomes of our choices, our behaviors, and our actions in all situations in which we are involved. It is very important to be accountable for your actions. It is very important to take responsibility. Accountable leaders do not blame others when things do not go the way they expect them to. And we have a lot of that, eh? We have a lot of people who blame others because things do not go the way we expect them to. We know that our responsibility is to supervise this individual to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do. But because somewhere along the line we faltered, instead of accepting the responsibility to say, you know what, I kind of lapse there. You say, no, hey, that was Jane's job to do and Jane didn't do it, but you are responsible for ensuring that Jane performs her job. So take the responsibility for the outcomes and do not blame others. Take responsibility for the outcomes and in that way demonstrate their credibility. So when you take responsibility for these actions, you demonstrate credibility. Reliability. Reliability is the quality of being trustworthy or of performing consistently well. This is an important aspect of institutional identity and integrity. Performing consistently well. We don't want no one-off thing. We want you to be purposeful. We want you to be continuous. We want you to be ever learning, ever growing, ever developing. Consistent in whatever you do. So if you give me an A, I want an A or an A plus. If you give me a B, I don't want a B minus. Give me a B plus, or give me a B, or give me an A or A plus, or maybe even an A minus. But the fact of the matter is, I need to see that you are moving from one stage of growth to another increasingly. So you must continue to perform consistently well. We must demonstrate reliability in doing our service to humanity, because that's why we are here. We are here to serve the people. We are here to provide for the people. Yes, to provide for ourselves, but we are also a part of the people. So even if you say to provide for yourself, you're still providing for the people. Yes? So we must demonstrate reliability in doing our service to humanity. Carry out assigned tasks according to required standards based on institutional policies and guidelines. And again, we must do so consistently. So in order to be reliable, you must be consistent. And it's very important to be consistent because this shows how progressive you are. Because nobody wants to invest in a company that makes a profit of $1,000 today, and then next week or tomorrow there is a decline. Something is wrong somewhere. So some improvement needs to take place. Some change needs to take place. You must be consistent in what you do as an organization, as a people. Track record, another important aspect. Being a member of your organization, your track record is the history and pattern of achievement or delivery in your particular role. So whatever role or function you are given, your track record would show how well you perform, how reliable you are, would depend on whether or not we give you that project. The track record is what will inspire trust and acceptance of your leadership, and maintaining that track record is the basis for building integrity and fostering continuous improvement initiatives. When you have a good track record, people would want to be around you because you have integrity, you're accountable, you are capable, and people would bring new ideas to you. And these ideas, you know, when you get them, you would take them into perspective and utilize them effectively to further improve, to continuously improve the organization. That is what we must do as an organization. And as fisherfolk, we need to understand the importance of these things. The track record should be protected by your leadership of the organization. It should be second to none. This is the basis on which that organization will be taken seriously. You see the importance of that? Like I said before, why would I want to give that organization or invest any form of monies into an organization that performs well today and tomorrow is like nothing? We want to see consistency. People want to see consistency. And as a fisherfolk organization, we need to be consistent in all that we do. So if we're taking a stand, we must continue to take that stand regardless of what people say. Be consistent. Defy the odds. In everything you do, you will get resistance. Be resilient. Be steadfast. Be continuously focused. Only through determination can we achieve what we set out to achieve. We must keep that end goal in mind. Maintain that track record, that history, that pattern of achievement. Only then are we able to deliver. Confidentiality. We as members of the fisherfolk organization must be confident when making decisions and agreements with subjects about how we will collect, store, analyze, use or utilize, and report on information about the organization's purpose or projects. Bear in mind, disclosure of information without being sure of the effects on our livelihoods could potentially, listen carefully, disclosure of information without being sure of the effects on our livelihoods could potentially harm or hinder our research or our profitability. Therefore, the entire membership is affected. So you disclosing information that you're not supposed to disclose, not knowing how that information will be used, compromises the integrity of the organization. Be confidential. We are working towards a particular goal. We are working and trying to network with certain companies, certain organizations. Not everybody has to know your business. We are seeking to achieve certain things. Information needs to be held in a particular way. We must be accountable for the decisions that we choose to make. We must be confidential with the information that we have. Other elements of integrity are: one, moral and ethical values, and in that, do what is right, just, and equitable. Two, respect. Exhibit respect for all, and that is something that we cannot stress enough on. Respect, moral and ethical values. Understanding these things, adopting these things would take you far as a fisher folk. Take these things seriously. The rule of law, abide by national laws and the rules that guide your organization. Imperative, important. The organizations has policies, they have principles, and like the first line, they have moral and ethical values. Maintain them, understand them, live them. Let them become a part of you. Only then can we move forward as an organization. Only then can we champion that cause. The CNFO has an article of the association. So persons can, the information can be made available to persons so that they can read and familiarize themselves with it. Be accountable. Be accountable, not just to yourself, but to the organization, to the people that you serve. Be reliable. Be resourceful. When people ask questions, you are able to answer. Be real. Speak up and stand out. In conclusion, institutional identity and integrity are key principles that will define any organization. And I believe that based on the presentation, persons can say that, yes, I see and I understand the importance of institutional identity and integrity. I understand the importance of its principles and how they define the organization. Identity and integrity are themselves based on several important values, and we discussed that, and behaviors such as leadership, reliability, credibility, confidentiality, and accountability. Institutional identity and integrity are at the heart of a successful organization and will ultimately determine its success or failure. You, as the fisher folk, determines the organizational success or failure. Your integrity, your identity determines the organization's success or failure. This is particularly true of the fisher folk organization, where these principles will come under challenge on a daily basis. People will question you. They will try to bring all manner of things into perspective just to get you to climb up. But nope, say no. They don't want you to talk because they understand, they see merit in what you have to say. Everybody wants to be successful. Nobody wants other people to be over them. Stand up. Stand out. Be resilient. Thank you and good night. Nadine, I don't know if you want to go through the discussions or you want me to go through the questions so we could, you know, have a brief discussion, maybe just a reflection on the presentation.
Thank you, Rodney, for that presentation. Very powerful. You can go ahead and lead the discussion.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Discussion. Now, I know many of you would have a lot of questions, and you can feel free to, you know, ask your questions. If you have any suggestions or comments that you would like to make, you can do so as well. But we have a few questions here, and you know, you can see the screen, so I will just read them out, and I will just read them out in its entirety, and then you will choose, you know, where you want to to add your suggestions or comments, or you know, just give us a feedback. Why do you think that institutional identity and integrity are important? What is the importance of having an identity? What is the importance of having integrity? What are some of the key actions to maintaining accountability? What are the elements of integrity? What, if any, can you add? Anything can you add or contribute to this presentation? Are there any other questions or suggestions, comments? I would like to hear from you. Anybody? Questions, comments, suggestions, answers? Any form of contribution? Nadine, I wouldn't see if any of the hands are up. So I would like you to assist me, you and Mr. Mitch, if possible. Please and thank you.
Okay, so we are open for discussion. Why do you think that institutional identity and integrity are important? You can raise your hand if you wish to contribute. It was very insightful, Rodney, when I heard you speak, especially about, and we talk about this all the time, every day, every month, and then you still try to be transparent and give information, right. And you speak about how you the need to keep certain information confidential to maintain the integrity of an organization. And that was very powerful for me, because even though we know it, sometimes you share information just to be transparent and helpful, and some of the times it turns right back on you, and it hurts and harms the organization.
That's true. And yeah, a lot of the times people what they do they try to get information from you, and then you being not being aware of their intentions would, give them certain information, would disseminate certain information to them, would and in with your good heart, your good willingness, and they would take the information and they would turn it around in certain ways and say you say. And
Yes.
it's very important, that we understand how the the how we understand how it is the need, I should say, to be confidential. It's very, very important because we might very well be putting the organization at risk and not knowing that we're doing that. We might be very well be putting a lot of the projects that we have streamlining at risk, and we don't, really know that.
So, Rodney, but Radisha has a hand up, so you may allow her to have the floor, I'm sure.
No problem. Miss Felicia?
Hi, good night, everyone.
Good night, good night.
So I just have a suggestion. That's all. So I was thinking by listening to the whole presentation and from previous presentation, I think we should have like a forum down here or like a meeting session with all official folks in Grenada because we have a lot of trust problems and confidentiality and integrity and reliability here when it comes to our official folks and the leaders here. So I was thinking if the facilitators in this presentation could probably organize something for Little Grenada and our official folks here and give them an insight of all that that's been going on. So have like a training session with them as well, so they will know how to go about doing stuff and helping out our official folks to have more trust in us as leaders. Thank you.
Very important and necessary. Mr. Mitch or Miss Nadine, I would leave that to you. I'm also Grenadian, so I'm sorry, I wouldn't know what plans you guys have. Maybe you could, provide some light on that, please and thanks.
Okay, so the reality is that CNFO is not funded by its membership. So financial resources are something that are not readily at our fingertips. But we do accommodate these things. That is why we have this training session. That is why this is being done. So we operate within the limits of what we have. But as opportunity arises, we do have underground sessions and different things, but a lot of times these are tied to specific objectives and therefore are not specific to a particular module like this. So that is one point. But the other thing is, though, the CNFO would be happy to partner with the national organization to do something like this. I mean, the CNFO's technical expertise would be available. The issue would be getting the CNFO on the ground and the NFO and the other fisherfolk organizations on in country would do their work to bring the fisherfolk together so we can facilitate that type of thing. So it's not an issue about whether CNFO would be willing to do something like that. The issue would be one, the national organizations first indicating that this is a need, and secondly, supporting that initiative in real ways. And if it's something that is really pressing, then the national organization can also do other things. For instance, There is a project being developed right now that Grenada is a part of. And if Grenadian fisherfolk would want to see something like this happen, they can speak to the project people who are putting the project document together and say, let us include these type of activities to strengthen the national organizations, to strengthen the fisherfolk, to develop more responsible fisheries, etc. So I'm saying to you that, you know, these things are something that have to be worked out among the national organizations and fish and CNFO. But CNFO's technical expertise is certainly available.
Hey, so from past meetings that we had over the years and months with all fisher folks here, they have a problem with speaking, I should say, because they will speak among themselves. When you ask them questions, they will talk. They will tell you all their problems. But when to have like meeting, they're calling for people to come and hear them, to hear the issues, to see if they could help. And when the people reach, it's like all the problems they have, all the issues they have going on because of we have this particular, you have some particular fishermen. I don't know if they are scared of this person or they're scared of the person, but when they're able to talk, they can't talk. If that person not there or certain person not there, they will talk. So I guess it's not particularly speaking up with some of them. I guess they have a fear of certain people in the area.
Wow, okay, that's a serious issue. That's one of the things that the presentation addresses, you know, and sometimes it's really difficult to reach people. You know, it takes a lot of time to reach them, you know, but it's important that we try to reach them. Because some people, they might not be speaking, they might be afraid to speak. But when you really do hear from them, when you hear the quality of their words, you want to hear more. Because they are the people who are out there and experiencing all the different things. So they know, they have knowledge, they have experience, and they could share that with you. They could share their stories, their life. So we need to create some way to, you know, get to them, to hear from them. It's very, very important. So maybe that is something you could, you know, try to speak to Mr. Baldi on, and maybe we could try to organize something in some way to try to, you know, get them on board. Because this is very, 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 very important that we understand their addresses, their plights, to try to, you know, bring some form of resolve to them. That's my piece on that. Anybody else has anything to share? If not, then it therefore means that I did a very good job. Thank you very much for proclaiming that with silence. I appreciate it very much. Miss Nadine,
You have one
So,
more, Miss Mavis.
sorry, Rodney. Yeah, Miss Mavis raised her hand, Rodney, so
okay,
you
okay.
wish to give you the floor.
Yes, good night. Yeah, one of
Good
the
night.
key, you spoke about what are the key actors in maintaining accountability But one of the what I would consider the key actions of maintaining accountability, one is to make sure you have proper records so that because you can get up and tell somebody this is so and so, but if they actually see the information, especially if it's financial or otherwise, then they build more trust. And then you have to be very transparent. You can't decide, okay, I'm just going to share certain information, hold back certain information. Then people becomes very, and they become like not trust unworthy in terms of their trust for you. So if for you to really ensure, and especially when you're dealing with fisher folks, they tend to be skeptical in just accepting things that you give them at face value. So you have to go the extra mile to show them that you are transparent and that you're accountable for whatever aspects or projects you're responsible, to them for. And when you do that, you start building their trust, and then they start now open up to you, because sometimes they go into shell if they don't trust you. Then they open up, and then you get different ideas, and as a result, you have a better working relationship. So I just wanted to say that.
Wow, that's very profound. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that.
Excellent. You also have another hand raised. Nadine Earl would like to get the floor. Rodney, so you may wish to give her the floor.
No problem. Go ahead. Sure. I cannot. Should I
Nadine,
minimize?
Nadine, you have the floor.
Yeah, I just almost closed it off my screen. Yes,
Oh,
the question is asked, why do you think that institutional identity and integrity are important? I would say that it is important because all these elements contributed to a sustainable institution, one that is effective in achieving its goal. So I'm saying that these elements, both the integrity and all of that, everything will come down to you having a sustainable institution, one that is effective in coming together to achieve its goal.
Very important. Sustainability is very important. Goal achievement is very important. Collaboration, working together, very important. Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that. Well said. Well said.
so I don't see any other hands. Rodney, Nadine, and Rodney, you guys can
No problem.
yeah.
So Nadine, I'll hand over to you now so you could do your closure. And I will say again, thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to present. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure.
Okay, before we close, let's read the comment from Miss Sue. She stated that the issues raised by Vadisha, I think, are not exclusive to Grenada. We suffer from the same issues here, and everything becomes political because in the past, political persons have used the fishers for mileage, and now we are coming. Honestly, you are being viewed wrong. And she also said great presentation as well as Ms. Coley. So that brings us to the end of this session, and we are going to see you again next week, same time, same place, and we are going to have Miss Kejiana from St. Lucia facilitating. Good night, everyone.
Good night.